Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, financial, or investment advice. Information presented is from internet or other news sources. Always do your own research and due diligence. We're not responsible for and expressly disclaim all liability for damages of any kind arising out of use, reference to, or reliance on any information contained in this broadcast.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Money and Change, right here on the Trim Radio Network. And I'll tell you what, I've got some interesting stuff tonight. I've got a few videos. And if you want to learn how to save some money, you have to go over to our Facebook page, Money and Change /Financially Prepped. And all of the information that's contained in the show will be presented there and listed in the comment section. So you want to check that out. You got to check out that Facebook page because there are a lot of videos there, a lot of information. And it's updated every few days. And finally, by the time it's time for the show, guess what? It's all there. And if we don't get a chance to cover the material, all of it at least, you can still go to that website or the Facebook page and find the information. And you can watch the videos there. So we got to get going, guys, because I've got a lot of information to pass on. Remember, when you're trying to save money, everybody's got to do that now with all that inflation that's out there. What you need to do is pay down your debt. Put some money aside. Buy some long-term food. Be able to preserve and store water, at least 3 gallons per person per day for an emergency. Make sure you have radio, preferably a weather radio. Make sure that you also have batteries. Make sure that you have maybe blue tarps for your roof in case you get a hole in the roof due to a storm. Make sure you have the adequate clothing that you need. Those are just simple things. Oh, yeah. How about medications and a first aid kit? A good first aid kit. Nothing like something you can get at Walmart or Costco. You know, those are the kinds that give you a thing that looks like a first aid kit that has maybe 500 bandages in there or Band-Aids, a little bit of cream, and a book that kind of tells you something about first aid, and maybe a couple of aspirins. No, you don't need that, okay? Make sure that you have that. And you go ahead and check out our Facebook page because we have a lot of information there. And in an emergency, it might be able to help you out. So let's see here. We've got a bunch of stuff to cover, and I better shut up so I can cover it, right? All right. Well, anyhow, we're glad to have you here, and stop back all the time to watch the shows because we have a lot of information there, and that's what I want to try to do. Hey, a little bit about our Trim Radio Network. You know, we always talk about Michael Behaus, who's the founder and CEO of our group, and he's based in basically a suburb of Columbia, South Carolina. And then we have Raskela Stefan, and he's up in near Cleveland, Ohio. And he's our computer guru. He can fix anything. And we also have me. I guess I'm the chief relationship officer. I really don't know what Victoria did to me on that one. Responsible for building and maintaining the foundational trust and goodwill necessary for long-term success. Well, I hope you come back and watch us. And if you want to do your own show, let us know. And we're going to get to that in just a little bit. But just let us know. And, you know, if you want to do your own show, it's no cost to you. All you have to do is have the computer and have the equipment that you need, which is minimal. And you can do your own show as long as you follow the rules of trimradio.com. or the Trim Radio Network. We can go by either one, but you have to do that. So if you want to have a show on ham radio or GMRS radios or, marketing, football, basketball, whatever, contact us and we'll get you set up on our network. Okay. Because we go all over the world. We literally do. And I've got listeners in Myanmar, which used to be called Burma. I've got listeners in India, South Africa, Kenya, Europe, North America. But I haven't got any response from Iceland. I don't know if they cover us in Iceland or not. But anyhow, if they do, send me an email. Okay. And then we have Victoria Smith, who's our Chief Marketing Officer, and she's responsible for marketing activities and brand development and audience growth. And she's an all-around good person. I mean, you get different ideas from her, and she's good. She really is. So, we have that. And, if you want to get in touch with us and say, well, hey, how do I set up my own show? Click on the red button over here on the right-hand side. And a box will come up. You put your name in it, your phone number. Don't forget the area code. Also put in your message. Hey, I want to do my own show. And your email address and maybe another alternative phone number. And hit send message. And guess what? Somebody will be right back with you. You'll get an automatic response. But then usually within the next day, you will have somebody contact you about your own show. If you want to go ahead and advertise to help support the station, because any money coming into the station doesn't go to the hosts, it goes to pay for airtime. Yeah, airtime. It's expensive. And so, if you buy the merchandise, then what we do is we go to the people that supply the server time and we say, hey, here's the money. Give us some more time. The more money we get, the more shows we can do. Oh, what do we have? Channels. We have a live stream. We have the vault. Oh, what's in the vault? Do we have any money in the vault? I don't think so. That's the vault. First time I've been there. And, I forgot to tell people last week, our podcasts go out across not only Rumble and YouTube, but we go out on Facebook, and then we go to Pandora and Instagram, LinkedIn, X, and a bunch of other places. Trust me. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Pandora, and so forth. You got to check us out. We're there. Okay. Oh, collectibles. Oh, yeah, that's what happens. Oh, no, I got to cover channels. I really have to cover channels. Because if I don't cover channels, guess what? You mean I misplaced the channels? Oh, no. Did I hit the wrong button? It's easy to do. Let's see. Oh, there's the shows. They didn't move. I just hit the wrong button. Well, anyhow, we have Money and Change every Sunday night at 7 p.m. And we're live every Sunday, except for when I play concerts. And I'm involved in a band, and I do have concerts, and sometimes they are on Sunday. And sometimes they conflict with the show. So we will notify you in advance, and you will get an encore edition. Rush Limbaugh used to say, a rerun is not a rerun, it's an encore edition. And so we will do that when I have to play a concert. And luckily, I don't have any concerts, I don't think, until late November. So we're good there. Also, we have Michael Bejas with Life Walk with Christ God. He's on Wednesday at 7 p.m. And we have My World, Live, Laugh, and Whatever every Wednesday, 8 p.m. It is live, and we can have fun. We can talk about anything we want to talk about. We can tell jokes. We have videos. We just can kick back and have some fun. So make sure you have your favorite beverage, you have your favorite snack or snacks, and join us and sit back and enjoy it and kick back a little bit. Also, we have Victoria Smith's Natural Marketer podcast. If you have a group or a business and you want marketing advice, she's the person to talk to. Check her out, Victoria Smith, Natural Marketer podcast. We have Offsides College Football Top 25. And yes, Michael Bejas does talk about Ohio State once in a while. And they always talk about football. It's a good show. Also, we have the Positude podcast. And then we also have Adventure Awaits Around the Bend and Ranch It Up with Tigger and Beck. Now, we also have Rascala's Red Pill reality show. That's every Saturday. He does 3 hours. He's from 9 p.m. till midnight. And I'll tell you what, it's a good show. I've been on it a few times. I listen to it. And I'll tell you what, I keep asking Rascala, you can either take the blue pill or the red pill. Well, I want the green pill, and he has yet to come up with it. I think what he does, one of these days he'll slip me a kidney tracer, strange colors and so forth. I don't know. But anyhow, he's a good guy. And Rascala has a very good show. You want to check him out. But you notice we have some blanks here. And if you want to do a show, let us know, because you could fill in one of those or two of them. Okay? But how do you keep us on the air? Buy the merchandise. In other words, shop. And it's easy to do. Hey, the buttons, they've actually sped up a little bit. Those little boxes that go around and around and around and around, well, they're picking up the speed. Hopefully they get faster and faster. Anyhow, we have Life Walk with Christ God short sleeve unisex t-shirt. And we have the hat. We have the Money and Change t-shirt. We have the Money and Change mug. Hey, it's a good mug too. And then we have the ceramic mug. And we have college football polos. We have t-shirts, kids t-shirts, guys t-shirts, other mugs. All you have to do is just check us out and buy the merchandise, okay? You got AirPods? Hey, we've got our own container for your AirPods. We don't furnish the AirPods. We just furnish the containers. So anyhow, you buy the merchandise. The money that we get goes towards airtime, and airtime isn't cheap. I think on Money and Change, I say isn't. And when I get to my world every Wednesday at 9 p.m. or 8 p.m. rather, I always say ain't. I have to break myself of that habit, because I really kick back on that show. We really have a good time too. Wow, what else is going on? Our Facebook page. That's what's going on. Oh no, I don't want the Ohio University band. I'll be in it in a few months, or no, in a few weeks. Anyhow, we've got homecoming coming up at Ohio University. We have our own page for Money and Change / Financially Prepped. Here it is. Now, what you're going to see here is going to be a post later on tonight of the entire show tonight. And then Rumble usually comes up and they do theirs on the following day. And if you want to join us, hey, use that contact button, hit the contact button, and join our group. And you can watch the show, okay? Now, here's what we have tonight. Join me at 7 p.m. for a live edition of Money and Change on Trim Radio. And the stories covered will be listed in the comment section below. Where's the comment section? Well, it's just underneath where you see me and you click on content. Whoa, wait a minute. What else is going on? Did they erase my comments? No, they didn't. Here it is. We're going to talk about waste of the day. Veterans Hospital equipment is missing. We're going to talk about Trump's new $100,000 visa fee. I think I'm going to pass that one up. You go to the website and read that one. And then we've got eating on $5 a day for a full week, 7 days of easy and cheap, healthy, tasty meals. We've got frugal meals from scratch, cooking on a small budget. We've got making standard time permanent will be healthier for Americans. And we've got Americans will hold 6 out of 7 board seats on TikTok. You'll have to read that one, and you actually watch that video on that one. We've got IRS Treasury release details on no tax on tips. Yeah, do you work and accept tips on the job? Well, we're going to cover that tonight. Also, 4 essential expenses to prioritize despite inflation. You know, you always have to pay your bills and don't live beyond your means. That's part of the whole problem. People always get into debt and they never pay off the debt. They just pay on the interest of it. So we're going to get into that here in a little bit. Also, anti-money laundering is the stable coin use case no one talks about. Stable coin. If we get a chance, we'll talk about it. Okay? Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to go over. And some of the stuff I posted and some of it I haven't posted. Why? Well, because I always have to have, little tricks up my sleeve here. Well, anyhow, check us out on our Facebook page, please, because we post a lot of information. And if you go down and you can take a look at past episodes, we have the information there. And for example, if we go to last week and you can take a look at it, and well, if I click on the right button, well, if I comment, no, it's there. Trust me. Oh, yeah, Dave. Dave Kobler, he's talking about the economy and people are being crushed. So you want to take a look about what he's talking about and about taxes and everything else. And oh yeah, here's Tessie. I've watched Tessie for many months. I'll put it that way. And she's a Mennonite living in Pennsylvania, and she lives as cheaply as she can. Very frugal living. So you want to watch that video. Also, secret GMRS upgrade. We talk about GMRS radios. Speaking of that, oh, I got to talk about GMRS radios. Yes, I do. I do. Why do I have to talk about GMRS radios? Because I have several. This is the Ocean 935G Plus with a Nagoya 771 antenna. It's a 771G antenna. G stands for GMRS. With this, from my location, I can talk 35 miles away to a repeater and get up 90 miles or maybe a little bit longer than that. And I've talked to people in Indiana, Southern Ohio, as far over as Lancaster, Ohio, which is on the other side of Columbus. And Columbus is about 82 miles away. And so the conditions were right and I could talk to them. But this Ocean radio is not one of those bubble wrap radios, trust me. It's a higher end radio and it's a good one. I bought it through Better Safe Radios, and there are other places that carry the radios, okay? But they're great to have. You pay for a license, and that's $35. And anybody in your immediate family can use it. Not your second cousin twice removed or anything like that, but anybody in your immediate family. That means your grandparents, your mother, father, your sister, okay? I don't think the dog talks or the cat talks, so they don't have that privilege. You have to live within the rules, okay? Rules are simple. No cussing and swearing. No nasty things. It's a good radio. And I get on this all the time. Oh, yes. Jerry, who's in the room, says you do that all the time. Yes, I do all the time. I talk about GMRS radios because it's fun. It's a good hobby. And you're going to talk to a lot of different people through repeaters. And I'm hooked into probably 8 different repeaters. And I have a good time with it. Well, what else is going on? Well, if I find the right button again, buttons sometimes have a way of causing a problem. I guess I have a trigger finger or something. But, we can talk about GMRS radios. That's the video. Boots on the ground. That's David Kobler. Oh, yeah. Food poisoning. Oh, I got to do a side E on that. The reason why I wasn't on Wednesday night was food poisoning. And people say, well, Stu, how do you get that? Well, just remember this rule. Keep hot foods hot and cold foods cold. Hot foods hot means above 165 degrees when they come out of the oven, and keep them hot when they're on the table. And then cold foods, anything below 40 degrees is good because you don't have little critters, little bugs, little germs. And I ended up getting something that was cross contaminated, and I can't have egg. The only thing I can have that's really egg is hard boiled pickled eggs. That's it. And what happened was somebody got some egg residue in a wrap sandwich. And last Sunday, that did me in for 3 days. Not a good experience, okay? Hot food's hot, cold food's cold. What else is going on? Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about making standard time permanent because it'll be healthier for Americans. That's according to a study. Naveen Anthropoli through the Epoch Times was talking about that. This was in Zero Hedge. When you have time change, and let's say you lose an hour of sleep, and you have to get up and you have to drive long distances to get to work. What does that do to your body? Some people say, oh, it doesn't bother me. Other people says, oh, it kills me for at least a couple of weeks. Well, it messes with me for a couple of weeks, whether or not I have to get up and drive or I have to do something. It always messes up my week. And then they turn around in the fall and they fall back, which is going to happen in a couple of weeks. What's going to happen is we get an extra hour of sleep. That's fine. You get an extra hour of sleep. So what happens? You wake up an hour early because you're used to the time. And that's always been a bone of contention, as they say. Some people, I know a guy that used to pilot planes. He said, well, that doesn't bother me. I go through 5 changes a day. Well, maybe going out and maybe coming back, and you're used to it. A lot of us people aren't. Okay. Well, anyhow, Naveen Anthropoli says adopting a permanent standard time in the United States rather than changing times biannually, that's twice a year, is a healthier option for Americans, according to a September 15th peer-reviewed study published in the PNAS journal. And seasonal changes in time policy, such as switching between standard time and daylight savings time, have been adopted by many countries, including the United States. The study's authors from Stanford University said that. And while transitioning between standard daylight time and daylight standard savings time, rather, has notable acute negative population health impacts. The chronic impact of these time policies on health has not been well evaluated. I like to have good health, and I try. So far, I haven't got the flu. So far, I haven't really had colds or anything. And I'll tell you what, I don't need to have my time changed all the time. I don't know about you, but I get that way. And so, when you get light in the morning, it speeds up the circadian cycle. And when you get light in the evening, it slows things down. Well, if you've been up all day and it's nighttime, yeah, I'm going to slow down, kick back, maybe have my favorite beverage, maybe some snacks, and listen to My World or any other show. Why not? But first thing in the morning, I'll tell you, that can be tough. You can see that article on Zero Hedge, but they're looking at changing times. And they said that they're excited to have President Trump back in the White House and fully on board to lock the clock. Another phrase, lock the clock, so we can get this good bill passed and make this common sense change that will simplify and benefit the lives of American families. And I can just say yes to that. And I guarantee it will help out quite a bit. Um, Johnson, who was Karen Johnson, said that teens, adolescents, and youth or young adults suffer the most circadian disruption from the daylight savings time because their body rhythms already run late. Yeah, that's why some people are always late to school, right? Okay, so, hey, hopefully this happens and we stick to one special time, like not daylight savings, but standard daylight time. Okay. You can read that whole article in Zero Hedge, and you can also check it out on our website. Wow, waste of the day. Oh, yeah. The Veterans Hospital, a lot of them are very good places. They have very good doctors, very good nurses, very good staff, and they have good facilities. And I know when my father had to go to the Dayton VA, Veterans Administration, he had very good care. And I knew people that had to go to the hospital unit there, and they had excellent care there. And all the equipment was new. But now I'm seeing in Zero Hedge about Jeremy Portnoy with Real Clear Investigations came up with this when he said, top line, the Veterans Health Administration has lost an estimated 5% of its reusable medical equipment worth at least $211 million, including exam tables, computers, and microscopes, and will continue to do so if processes are not improved, according to a new audit from the Veterans Affairs Inspector General. And the key facts on this: the VA hospitals own over 2 million pieces of non expendable equipment, which means they can be kept in service for a long time. And they're probably stainless steel equipment that is meant to be used for 2 years or more, valued at $12 billion. And federal auditors recently visited hospitals to see if the VA was properly tracking the equipment and found that thousands of items had disappeared. And if you add all that up, yeah, thousands of items and medical items are not cheap. Things disappear. And I'll tell you what, everything has a property number on it. Maybe it was just that they were not inventorying every year the equipment. Instead, they would do it every 2 to 5 years. Just my guess. Well, anyhow, it's possible there is even more missing, according to the report, because the VA is only required to keep track of inventory worth more than $5,000. Can you imagine that? I mean, generally, a lot of stuff has equipment tags on it. And when I worked with the state, all of our vending machines had to have equipment tags on. All of our coin mechs, all of our dollar bill counters and sorters and so forth. Everything had to have a tag. That was state authorization tags, and everything was tracked. Computers were even tracked that way. And here they're saying some of the non-expendable equipment is tracked using electronic tags. Okay, but some of the tags have dead batteries or they only show what building the item is in and not what room. Well, if you have an equipment inventory with a property tag, guess what? You can track the movement of it. It would just be a manual count, is what it would be. And the VA also uses an inventory by exception system, which items that have their location recorded during routine maintenance do not need to be included in annual inventory reports for up to 24 months. Then, though most items are required to be logged every 12 months. Auditors wrote that a lot can go wrong, including losing equipment because the inventory by exception system is there. Okay. So the summary of this whole thing is the missing inventory is nothing new for the federal government, but a hospital having supplies readily available could be a matter of life and death. Check it out. If you're using the Veterans Administration hospitals, go ahead and check it out and see what numbers are tagged or what equipment is tagged. And you understand the vastness of the equipment. And I'll tell you what, during my responsibility with the state, we must have had 3,000 vending machines plus all other associated things. And nightmare was horrendous because you had to go ahead and complete your inventory by the end of the fiscal year. And then you had to turn it in and it had to match what was on the inventory sheets. So that's a big thing. And think of the millions of dollars that could be missing walking out the door, or maybe they just didn't get rid of it right when the piece failed to work, like maybe a computer. You know, laptops are only good for maybe 2 to 4 years at the most. And other tower equipment and so forth is probably good for up to 10. And that's heavy use. So hopefully they find things and they find a way to save some money because we need to start saving money with the government because you know how they spend. Like I said before, they spend like a drunken sailor. Only drunken sailors know when to quit because they run out of money. All right, let's take a look at the 2025 inflation. I did some research on this and I wanted to find out what was going on in August, and we're just into September. But they said, the key details of the whole thing is the August 2025 inflation rate was 2.9%. And the previous rate held steady at 2.7 for June and July. And as far as acceleration, the 2.9% rate is the highest since January 2025. And, the causes, the tariffs that they're putting on things being imported are putting upward pressure on consumer prices, especially for goods like clothing and furniture. Well, even electronics for that matter. And, if you take a look at everything, realistically, prices are going to go up and up and up and up anyhow because the government has spent like a drunken sailor over the past maybe 8 years, or maybe 20 years, or 30 years, or 40 years, because our spending is out of hand. I'll put it that way, without getting into technical details and all that. We're printing off more money than we should. Loose money, inflation. Anyhow, you have problems for that. The food is 3.2% on an annual increase. It will probably go maybe a little bit higher this fall. And I don't know about you, but my garden didn't do diddly. I mean, I produced about 6 zucchinis, but they they were probably 4 to 5 pounds apiece, and they were pretty big. And then tomatoes, I'm just starting to get tomatoes now. They're delicious, but I'm only getting a few of them. Where last year I had an abundance, so I don't know what's going on. Used cars and trucks, 6% annual increase in used cars and trucks. Now I'll tell you what. I was reading today. It might be a good time if you're going to get a new car. Get it this month because the dealers have to get them off the lot, and they're going to give you a good deal. And if they don't, find another dealer that will. Motor vehicle insurance, 4.7% annual increase. Insurance is going up. Why? Because you had all those hurricanes, you had the fires out in California and everything else. And because of all of these things where they had to pay out, and they're still paying out, that's money leaving the company and they don't get interest on that. So your insurance is going to go up. I know mine's going to go up on my car. My house insurance went up. And do I want to look for a different carrier? I don't know, not yet. Because the one that I have, I've had for years, and they've always done right by me. And they're none of the big insurance companies. So, and I'm not going to give a plug for Cincinnati insurance companies. I'm not going to do that. But it's not nationwide or anything like that. Okay, I'll put it like that. The tariff impacts are going to nail us in one direction. The core inflation, according to this, is excluding food and energy, and that was 3.1% in July, and it's expected to rise further. Food's getting expensive, guys. You got to watch what you get. Don't buy a bunch of crazy snack foods. Stick to the basics. Of course, I do like my Nutter Butter cookies. I do like those. I don't know about you guys. But, you know, we all have our favorite snacks, so let's just not go overboard. Let's eat more healthy things, more fruits and vegetables. Federal Reserve expectations was anticipated to make an interest rate decision. Well, they made it, and they dropped everything a quarter of a basis point. Was that good? Well, a little bit, but not much. They could have gone a half basis point, and they probably should have, but they didn't. I kind of wonder about the Fed sometimes. To do a show about the Fed would take some time. Maybe I might do that. Maybe next show we'll talk a little bit about the Fed. Well, what else is going on? Oh, from the market, yes, the housing market, the mortgage rates, and we're going to talk about they're dropping for 5 weeks. We're going to do that right now. So check this out.
Buyers a little more breathing room, but affordability remains at its worst level in decades, with high prices, taxes, and insurance still weighing on the U.S. housing market. For more, we're bringing in Jenna Stauffer, global real estate advisor at Sotheby's International. So, Jenna, I know one rate cut won't fix everything for the housing market, but are you starting to see, as rates have come down in September, have you started to see signs of buyers getting a little more comfortable, being a little more willing to step in after things were really frozen there for about 18 months or so?
They absolutely were frozen for about 18 months or so. And look, the housing market is so sensitive to any interest rate changes. So when you do see interest rates go down, you do see purchase applications pick up. You see activity pick up. So we have seen some buyers come off the sidelines. It was nice seeing mortgage rates come down. Now that we do have a rate cut, we don't know exactly what's going to happen with mortgage rates, but I do expect mortgage rates to continue to ease. It might not be in a straight line. It's going to be really dependent on data that we get and if economic conditions can really align.
Now, you know, the sticker price on the house is one thing. When you talk to prospective buyers, are things like the rising costs of home insurance, particularly in markets like Florida, are these things becoming more prominent in those conversations? Because it seems like for a long time, it's like, well, okay, house costs X, mortgages Y, I can or cannot afford that. But these other pieces of the puzzle now seem to be playing a larger factor in the caution we've heard from a lot of buyers.
Absolutely. So it's what I call this lethal combination. This lethal combination has really been holding so many buyers back from being able to get into the housing market. And what's in this lethal combination? It's, of course, the high home prices relative to income level. It's the elevated interest rates. It's rising maintenance costs. It's rising insurance. It's rising taxes. Look, affordability is a big issue. It's really this choke point that we just continue to hit. So it's not really one factor more than the other. It's the combination of all these factors.
I think a lot of the conversation we have around the housing market is around the challenges for buyers. I'm curious your view on the challenges for sellers. Are you hearing from folks who don't want to be in the market because they want a certain number, they don't think they can get it, they don't want to have their home sit? Like, what's the seller mindset in this environment as well? Because I think when both sides of the equation don't feel great, it feeds on itself, and that's, I think, why we've seen conditions in the housing market be so challenged for so long.
Absolutely. There's been this mismatch of expectations and reality. And you do have sellers that are discouraged with this housing market. It's been a tough pill for some to swallow. They're not seeing in some markets the price increases, these rapid price increases that they had been getting used to. So they're having to adjust to the market. And for some sellers, they're in a position where they don't have to sell. So they are pulling their listing. You're seeing delistings really pick up. That is a big thing. We have seen an increase in inventory this year. So that's been putting this downward pressure on price growth. Prices have gone up tremendously. So even when we see this deceleration in price growth, homeowners are still sitting pretty, they're sitting on record equity, but in their mind, they're still back in these 2021, 2022, and they're not really in line with current market conditions.
Yeah, and I see it in my neighborhood. No one wants to be the home with the for sale sign sitting for months and months and months and months. They just want to move it off. Genesis Offer with Sotheby's International Real Estate. Really appreciate the time.
Mortgage rates for the week ending June 12th are out. Yeah,
Oh yeah, but we won't get into that. This thing has a tendency to just zoom right ahead. But I'll tell you what, when you take a look at the market, I had friends of mine and they said, well, we're going to sell our house. And they lived just down the street from me. Nice ranch house like mine. And I said, okay, what are you going to get? And they said, well, we're going to get another ranch style house, all on one floor plan. And they said, we can get X amount for this house. I said, okay, that's fine and dandy, but when you buy the next house, what's it going to cost? About $200,000 more. Well, then if this one's okay, then why not just take the money and bank it, save it? If your current house is in good shape, you like the neighborhood, you like the house, then why are you going to get something bigger with more headaches? I'm in the process of doing things here now. And I've just had my patio coated. Special type of coating. I don't have to paint it. It looks beautiful. I like the back porch so much, actually the back patio. I went ahead and redid the front. I mean, this is a beautiful surface. And then I said, okay, I have a shed in the back, and I had that redone. And it's beautiful now. I'm going to put lighting on the inside, solar lighting, and do that. And I'm putting in some fencing for once, and then I'll re-landscape the interior as well as do some painting in the house. Why? Because I haven't done really that much to it in 20 years. It's clean, it's nice. I have a nice yard, but I just want to make it a little bit better. But I don't want to go out and buy another house, especially when they're reappraising the taxes. So, I mean, that's the way I look at it. Well, let's see what else we've got here. Oh, yeah. 4 essential expenses to prioritize despite inflation. Follow this one.
Well, it seems like there's a new headline about inflation every single day. And don't get me wrong, we all feel the pain in the grocery store, like when we go in. We know it is happening, and we know that people are really, really struggling with this. But we only have control over so much when it comes to our life. And sadly, the percentage of inflation, we don't have control over that. But today I do want to talk about how to afford 4 essential expenses, is what we call our 4 walls, that are non-negotiables even during inflation. Now, before we jump in, make sure to subscribe and share this episode with a friend. All right, first, let's clarify the 4 expenses that are non-negotiables for everyone. That is food, housing, utilities, and transportation. So let's go through each of these categories and find ways that we can beat inflation, because let's be honest, we have to do all 4 of these. All right, now let's go over some ways to beat inflation when it comes to food. So number 1, shop around for deals. That may mean you hit multiple grocery stores, but you guys, deals are great when it comes to coupons or BOGO deals. And finding like what you actually need and shop around those deals is so helpful. And just know like what grocery store you walk into will determine how much money you pay. It's amazing. So find those budget-friendly grocery stores, and when they have deals running, you're golden. Next is to buy food that has more bang for your buck. So think about this, like apples and bananas are going to be relatively cheap in the produce section. And you don't always have to buy meat for every single meal, right? You can find ways to kind of cut back on that because meat's going to be very expensive. Canned foods, it's going to last for months, won't go to waste. But think about, dry foods like pastas or rice. Those are also some great foods to buy that will have a long shelf life, because there's so much waste that happens when we grocery shop. So eliminating that is really key. Now, for a more detailed idea of meal ideas and tips, I will put my meal planning guide for you down below. So make sure to check that out. Next is to cut out non-essential wants at the grocery store. So, those specialty popsicles that are like $12 with 4 of them in a box, like just say no to that stuff, right? There's so many things that we add on that we just don't need. And if you're looking for ways with food to save specifically at the grocery store, this is a great thing to think about. Now, I do want to take a minute and talk about one of our sponsors, Christian Healthcare Ministries. You guys, when you go against what society thinks is, quote, normal, like avoiding debt, for example, it might feel weird at first, and that is totally okay. We want you to be weird if that means you're doing things intentionally, including how you spend your healthcare dollars. And one way to be intentional is with Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM isn't health insurance. They're a health cost-sharing ministry that's helped hundreds of thousands of families like yours take care of healthcare costs without sacrificing their freedom. Programs start as low as $98 a month. So find out more and join at chministries.org/budgets. That's chministries.org/budgets. All right, let's look at housing. Oh, this is a tough one because sometimes it's like you're fixed, right? You're in a house, you got a mortgage, but there's some ways to get creative. Now, if you are single, a great way to do this is to get a roommate. So if you're renting and there's another bedroom, I know it's not fun. If you're living on your own and you enjoy it, you're like, oh my gosh, but listen, that could cut your housing in half. Possibly even when it looks like living with family, people are doing this a lot. They're moving back home. But, when you do this, I would say to have an end date, because I think being out on your own is really important when it comes just to being an adult overall. But if there's some ways to save money in this for a period of time, you could look into that. Number 2 is to sign a longer lease. So if you're renting, some landlords will lower the monthly payment if they know that you're going to be there for the long term. Number 3 is to move to a more affordable area. This is a big way to save money. Everyone, usually when you get closer to a city, the more expensive things are. But the further out you can be, you'll probably save some money. Also, for a season, number 4 is to temporarily downsize. And again, not always fun if you're used to living in a certain square footage. But if you're really struggling with rent, find something smaller. And again, it's going to help you. My sister, they were doing this for a season because they were doing some work on their house, and they moved, to a significantly smaller area. And she was like, it's really encouraging to know, like, you can do this. Like, so if you're in a position that you're like, yes, we have to move to something smaller for a period of time, for whatever reason, it's always good to know you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. Next is utilities. So number 1 on this one is don't run appliances until they're full. So think about your dishwasher or doing a load of laundry. That will save water and energy. Number 2 is adjust the thermostat when you're away. We do this all the time. When we leave to go out of town, we'll have the air not on as much, during the summer or the heat with the winter. Remember to turn it back on as soon as you get home, because it may not be very comfortable when you get home, but again, it's going to save you money. Number 3 is to turn off lights. Don't leave your water running unnecessarily. It's like these small little habits. Turn off the light when you leave your room. It will save you money. All right, let's look at transportation. Number 1 is to join gas reward programs. So Kroger Plus, Costco gas is usually cheaper than other places around. But these reward programs are great because you will get a better deal when it comes to gas. Number 2 is just go around the corner for cheaper gas. I'm terrible at this. Winston's good at it. He looks at gas prices, and I don't. But it is amazing. When you go to a more affluent area of a city, it's going to be more expensive. So maybe you drive a little ways down the interstate and half a mile even, and that can save you $5 to $10 when you're filling up your tank. Number 3 is to carpool or use public transportation. This is a great way to minimize the transportation costs out there. If you're able to do it, it's great. Number 4 is share a car with your spouse. One car family can be difficult. I know, especially if you're in an area that you have to be driving, but a lot of families do this for a season, especially if you're trying to get out of debt and like you're selling a car because it has a crazy payment on it. People do this all the time and they survive. Eventually we'll go back to a 2-car family, but for a season, this could be a great option. All right, for more tips on how to spend your money the right way, make sure to check out my episode on home upgrades that are and aren't worth your money. You can click here, or if you're listening on podcast, click the link in the description.
That's right. And that's what you do. I'll tell you what, there's a lot of stuff that you can check into, and you can check that video out again. Okay, you can do that. And it's an important thing. Let's get on to the IRS going on. I'll tell you what, the IRS, well, they're not your friend, but you got to take care of things. And with the IRS, if you owe taxes, you pay the taxes. If you need a tax accountant to do taxes, then you use a tax accountant. Don't try to wing it and get through it and end up with a whole bunch of penalties. And I know lately with me, I go through a tax accountant. I have to, because if I don't, I'll mess something up. And then you get this nasty note, we're going to audit you. It's not fun. Okay. I play everything by the book. I don't mess around. I let the accountant know that. Well, anyhow, let's see what else we've got for the rest of the show. And if we don't cover something, remember, go to our Facebook page. Okay. IRS Treasury releases details about no tax on tips. And I think this will just about do it for this week. But this came out, Jack Phillips at Epic Times. And the Treasury Department and IRS on September 19th released details about a provision backed by the Trump administration and is passed by Congress, which would provide a tax break for many employees who receive cash tips. When you leave a restaurant, usually if the service is really good and the waiter or waitress are fantastic, you give them a good tip. And traditionally, it's been about 20% of the bill. But in tight times, it's going to be less and less. Well, anyhow, in the document released by the Federal Reserve website, the agencies outline what type of jobs and what types of tips are eligible under the new regulation, which were passed as part of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. So for taxpayers, years beginning after December 31st, 2024 and before January 1, 2029, employees and self-employed individuals may deduct qualified tips from their gross income when calculating their federal income tax liability. And they went on to further say the Treasury Department and the IRS consulted data from surveys conducted from 2017, 19, and 23 that had inquired about tips received in recent years, the recent proposal states. So you want to check out those new rules, and you can read the rest of the article here. But I'll tell you what, I believe something had to be done with overtime as far as paying taxes on overtime. I believe you can get away with that. Just check it out with the new Treasury release deals and see what's going on there. Oh, let's see. Can we sneak one more in? I don't know. I don't think so. Oh, somebody's been talking about stable coin, and I saw this. They're coming up with another type of coin. You have Bitcoin and XRP, XLM, and all this other kind of stuff. Now they're talking about a stable coin. And stablecoin opposers point to transfers of illicit funds and so forth. And so we have the article there and you can check it out. Okay. I would advise you to take a look at the usdebtclock.org. Don't say debtclock.com because you end up with weird things. usdebtclock.org. We're 37,510,456,000,000 and climbing. Tell those congressmen to stop spending. They're just spending all of our money. And they're making the dollar cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. I don't know how many cents the US dollar is compared to what it used to be years ago. But you go to the grocery store and what do you see? What used to be maybe a 20-cent candy bar is now, what, $1.50? What used to be a Coke or a Pepsi that might have been 25 or 35 cents way back when is now, what, $1.25? Yeah, I mean, things are strange. So, you know what, check out the US Debt Clock. There's a lot of really useful information there. Well, guys, that's about what I've got for the week. Check us out on Money and Change / Financially Prepped on Facebook. And in a couple of hours, I will post this recording on our Facebook page. And so if you miss an episode, you want to check into it, go right to the Facebook page. It will be posted. And with that, guys, that's all I have for this week. Pay down your debt, put some money aside, buy some long-term food, stock up on medications, have a good first aid kit, the blue tarps, in case you get a problem with the roof. Make sure you have the clothes for the upcoming season. Make sure that you stock up on canned goods. Make sure that if you need canned meats, check out Keystone Meats. I've got a lot of it, and I'll tell you what, I love it. It's great for beef and noodles and chicken and noodles. You have people coming over. You have an instant meal, trust me. But anyhow, guys, with that, that's all I've got. Have a good week, and we will see you Wednesday live with My World right here on the Trim Radio Network. See ya.